Hi, Kelly.
Okay.
Welcome to the Book Gully channel. I'm Jayashree from Siliguri, India. It's a small town in the northeast part of India. And we have Kelly from South Africa, Cape Town. I will let Kelly introduce herself in her own words, like a small and sweet introduction from where you are and what you are doing these days and everything.
Okay, so hi everybody. My name's Kelly. I'm living in South Africa. Moved back here from Dubai about a year ago and loving it. And somehow found myself getting more and more involved in English. I started teaching English online, as I'm sure many native English speakers try to do. And it's branched out into something really, really interesting. I was given the opportunity to edit a book that one of my English students had written. And it was such a phenomenal experience. And, you know, getting into more and more editing work after that, you know, relying on a bit of word of mouth. And yeah, so now I am English tutor come book editor, which is for me quite a nice achievement so far.
Awesome. So Kelly is a professional editor, and today in this episode, we will share about her journey as an editor and her experience of editing different kinds of books. Kelly, like as an editor, how have your journey been so far? Like, you know, when did you realize that this is something that you want to pursue full time and professionally?
Okay, so I started, as I said, I started tutoring English a couple months, almost a year ago, and just getting really into English and into English grammar and, you know, the beauty of the language and the structure of the language. And I found quite a lot of, you know, somehow like a safety and a feeling of safety and security in the language. And one of my students had written a book, memoirs of her life. And she asked me to assist her in just, you know, polishing up some of the English. She had written it originally in German and translated it into English herself. And then just needed a bit of a hand with polishing up the grammar, making sure that it all made sense. So I started helping her with this, and it was such a wonderful journey I think for her and for myself as well, a journey of discovery. And I realized that I loved working with someone on something that was so special. And since then, I've edited some web content for her. I'm, you know, helping out with some English seminars. I've done some other translating as well in the form of, you know, security and safety documents for some bigger corporations in Italy. A little bit of translating on some websites, and then again doing a little bit of creative content editing on some websites as well. But it's been a really nice journey that I didn't think I would be interested in, but it turns out I'm hugely interested in it. So yeah.
That's amazing. Kelly, as an editor, do you have any preferences of how you want to receive a complete manuscript? Like, for example, I have just finished writing a book, which is, I mean, not yet a book, it's a manuscript. It has, let's say, 70, 80,000 odd words. So for a first-time author, you know, most of us, we don't have much idea about spacing and, you know, how much space should we leave between lines or on the four sides of the border and stuff like that. So do you have any, like, does it help you as an editor if, you know, if there are certain sets of rules? I might say that, you know, if we put it, it will be easier for you to get it in that format and then edit, just straight away start editing. Does it help you if you get the manuscript like that?
So, you know, Jayashree, something to remember is people that write their books, I think it's such a precious and personal thing to them. So in terms of formatting the book, how they want it to look, I believe that these are very, very personal decisions that have to be taken by the author of the book. So the way that I prefer to edit is to literally walk hand in hand with the author through everything, you know, so that I don't feel like I'm taking something away from their story, because it's not only about the words, it's about how the whole book is presented. So initially I would walk through a couple of pages with the author to say, this is my style, this is how I would reword this, because you need to find that personal connection at the same time, because it is such a precious thing that I'm working with. I don't want to ever, make an edit or make a change that the author doesn't like or feels like I've taken away from the essence of the message or the story that you're trying to put out. In terms of formatting the actual book into the pages, I work with a lady I think she's in Austria. She is really good. She's a graphic designer, but she's really, really good at formatting all the pages and making the book look really nice visually. She does book covers as well. And she's really, really talented, and she's got some great ideas when it comes to creating a nice, visually appealing book to take home.
That's really nice to hear, because I mean, when I was looking for an editor, and I read a lot of article in social media which mentioned that editors, they really find it annoying when they get manuscripts in completely different, like an amateur manuscript. So it is intimidating, because like for a new author, you're new to this literary world, you're already insecure, and you don't know how your story is, you keep comparing your writing to everything. And then on top of that, when I found that, okay, there are certain guidelines that if a new author follows in making a manuscript, then the editor, then it helps them. So it was like, okay, I need to find out what is it, how do I find out, just search, type in Google, random sentences, words that particularly you're looking for. So yeah, hearing it from you as an editor, it makes me feel that it makes me feel at ease that it's okay if I don't know everything. Like, if as long as I have my book ready, I can approach you, and you will make sure you do what needs to be done, without making the author intimidated about it. Like, at least like for me, it was that was how it was. So it's better, it's nicer to have an editor who understands the author, and they are in the same wavelength, walking together, and the process of making the book, making the manuscript a full-fledged final product as a book. Okay, cool. Also, I had some questions about editing. Like, when I was looking for an editor, I also found out that a lot of authors, they did not really put enough stress on how important editing is in publishing. So since you are an editor and you have already worked with different projects, what is your prerogative in it? Like, how important is editing before it reaches to the final, be it newspapers or, social media or books or anything? How important is it that any writer's work reaches the editor's desk before it goes to the final viewers? What is your view? What are your views on it?
I think, there's a few different aspects here to look at, Jeshu. And the first most important thing for me is I prefer to work with authors who are not native English speakers, because, I believe everybody has a great story, and every story should be published in every different language. Their story should get out there. So, and when it comes to putting it in English, there are a lot of English phrases that we use, or English terms that, phrasal verbs and things like that, that might not be very commonly known to non-native English speakers. Or on the other hand, you could have a saying in your native language that, when directly translated, makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my mission is to help the writing become a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more capturing to native English readers, by putting in the correct phrases and the correct, idioms and sayings, that appeal to the reader. The second thing is fact checking. If you are writing a book, okay, fiction, definitely, you kind of can write whatever you like, but when you are pulling in information, from the real world, fact checking is really, really important. So this is something that I definitely push for. and I push for the importance of this as well. And then, yeah, just, making sure that overall your book is broken down into the right chunks, your information is in the right order, the paragraphs flow properly, the chapters flow properly. These are all, really important things as well. But these are things that I think it's important to walk with the author when it comes to breaking the book down into its different sections and chunks, and this involves a lot of sort of lengthy conversations, but it is important to make sure that your story is nice and polished, and a collaborative work at the end of the day, in a sense. One person's view is great, but two people's better, and the more help you can get with the book, I just believe the better it can become.
I think you're true, especially for any book that is like, for me, my native language is not English. My first language is not English. So when I'm writing a book, like you've pointed out a lot of good things, that it is imperative that if it goes to an editor, it will be polished, and a lot of things are fine-tuned in that process, including your fact-checking and all. So yeah, definitely editing is super important before any literary work goes finally out there. Perfect. Yeah. So Kelly, I am a freelance writer. I mean, I am trying to be, at least. I do write. I'm writing full manuscripts on the side, but also I'm open to receiving work from related to writing from different perspectives. So basically, I'm a freelancer for now, and for you as well. You're doing it like you're freelancer editor, so you're not working for someone, but you are open in giving your time to a varied number of clients. So like for me personally, freelancing is pretty challenging. You don't get regular work, and you have to be constantly, you have to put whatever you can, the best bit of whatever you have created so far out there for people to see. But then the competition is huge, and all of that stuff. So how is your experience going so far as a freelance editor? And what would you like to talk to people, like say to people who are into this freelance game, like
Okay, so freelance editing, I think it's great. I really do, because of the fact that you don't work for a publishing house or an editing company. You really have the choice of who you'd like to work with. And one of my major goals in my editing life is to give a voice to those stories who wouldn't otherwise be heard. Small time writers, beginner writers. I believe everybody has a story, and if they want to tell it, I believe it should be heard, and it should be heard well. So this is one of the beautiful things about being a freelancer, is that I get to decide. Luckily, I am still an English tutor, and this is my main job, that I'm an English tutor. So it's difficult sometimes to juggle both, but yeah, like I said, I have the choice of who I want to work with. So far, the editing work that I've done has really been very special and very meaningful to both me and the authors involved.
Yeah, I agree with you. At least, in freelancing, you get to choose your work. You choose who you work for, or who you work with. So yeah. So Kelly, you're a mother, and how do you balance being a full-time mother to your kid and pursue your work, like, because you're a tutor and you're freelancing, you're a freelancer editor. So I'm sure it's not easy to juggle so much while making sure that you're there for your kids. So how do you balance all this, and what would you like to say to people who are afraid to like go ahead and take that step and pursue the dream work or job, but they're afraid that they will not be there for their kid at all times? So what would you like to say about that?
So I think this is is and always will be an internal war for any parents around the world, trying to juggle, work life and personal life. There is always that little, niggle of guilt inside that, oh, I wish I could have spent more time with my child today, or I wish I didn't have to work as much. So that will always be there, and it has always been there for me. My previous job, I was an air hostess, so the result was I was almost never home. So one of the things that I'm grateful for with freelancing is the fact that I'm home all the time. I'm always here in case she needs something. Trying to juggle, sometimes in the evenings I've got some editing work that needs to get done, or I've got a lesson I have to teach, and at the same time it's bath time, it's bedtime, dinner time, so it can get a little crazy, but luckily I have a great support network around me. My husband works from home as well. My mom is down the road, in case of emergencies, but there's an old saying, it takes a village to raise a child, and it really does. In any situation, you definitely do need a support network around you. However, there are people, that do manage to get it all done. So as a parent, I think you often have to put some of your dreams aside for the benefit of your child. So it's hard to say. It's hard to give advice to people with kids. I think you've got to do at the end of the day what feels right to you. However, it's not impossible.
Thank you so much, Kelly. It was nice chatting up with you to know so much about your work, and a little bit about South Africa, and a little bit about how you're juggling so many things. You're super busy. You have a busy schedule, so thank you for giving your time for this small little interview. I'm, in India, we are a huge population, huge young population, and a lot of aspiring authors. So, and also, our first language is not English. A lot of people, they have been to convent schools, and also it helps. But then again, a native English speaker is a native English speaker. So hands down to that. When it comes to editing, it is always better to, go to someone like that. So on that note, Kelly, I hope that I'm able to put your work to through my social media to a lot of aspiring authors, and who could potentially use your services of editing. Fine, thank you so much, Kelly, for joining the Book
Thank
Gully.
you so much.
Have a good day, and bye bye.
Thank you so much.